Sarah, a nurse working in the ICU of a small hospital in a quiet town, had always heard rumors about the haunted room on the second floor. The story was that a young boy named Danny, who had been a frequent patient in the hospital, had tragically passed away there under mysterious circumstances. After his death, many staff members reported strange occurrences, including unexplained noises and lights flickering in the room. One night, Sarah was on duty and was tasked with checking on room 214, the very room where Danny had died. As she entered, she felt an overwhelming sense of dread. The lights flickered, and the room grew unnervingly cold. She heard the sound of a child's laughter, faint at first, then growing louder. Sarah turned around to see a small figure standing in the doorway, Danny's ghost, staring at her with hollow, emotionless eyes. She rushed out of the room, but the laughter echoed down the hall, sending chills down her spine. Later, Sarah learned that the boy had been in the hospital for months, enduring numerous surgeries before his untimely death. Many believe his spirit never left the ICU, forever bound to the hospital where he had spent his final days. Dr. Thomas, a surgeon at the renowned St. Mary's Hospital, had always prided himself on his meticulous work and dedication. But one night, while performing a routine operation in the hospital's oldest operating room, things took a strange turn. As he was preparing for the procedure, he felt the presence of someone standing behind him. He assumed it was one of the nurses, but when he turned around, no one was there. The room was eerily silent, and the lights flickered for a moment. As he continued, he felt as though someone was watching him closely, breathing down his neck. Suddenly, a cold gust of wind swept through the operating room. A shadowy figure, wearing an old-fashioned surgeon's coat, appeared at the foot of the bed. Dr. Thomas froze, unable to move. The figure raised a scalpel in the air, as if ready to perform the surgery. Then, just as suddenly as it appeared, the ghostly surgeon vanished. Dr. Thomas later learned that a surgeon had died in that very room many years ago during a botched operation. It's believed that his spirit still lingers in the operating room, continuing his work. Emily, a night nurse working in the maternity ward of Grace Hospital, had heard stories from her colleagues about a long-dead nurse who was said to haunt the ward. The nurse, named Helen, had been a beloved member of the hospital staff in the 1960s. Tragically, Helen passed away from a heart attack during a particularly stressful night shift. Despite her death, strange things began happening. Emily was working the night shift alone when she noticed a figure standing at the end of the hallway. The figure was dressed in an old-fashioned nurse's uniform and was facing the wall as if lost in thought. At first, Emily thought it was a fellow nurse, but when she called out, the figure turned to face her. The woman's face was pale, with vacant eyes, and she had a soft, sad smile on her face. When Emily tried to approach, the figure disappeared into thin air. In the morning, Emily asked the other nurses if anyone had been on the ward overnight, but they all confirmed that no one had been there. Emily later learned that Helen had been a dedicated nurse who often worked long hours, and it's believed her spirit never left the hospital, still caring for patients and wandering the halls of the maternity ward.